Alright, welcome back to Space Station 14. This will be another round taking place on Wizard's Den's Lizard server. Right now you're watching a round taking place at 25 times speed, where I convert, at least I try to convert as most of Exo Station's floors and walls and stuff as possible into regular corporate floors instead of the Xeno floors. It was quite a project. You see, multiple stations have, usually they have something going on that makes them unique compared to the others, even if that uniqueness is simply being average. Exo Station has quite a lot going on that makes it unique. Like, for example, the fact that it's themed around being a xenomorph ship that is being inhabited by corporate peoples. However, part of this does mean that it is kind of because of this theming, because of this thing setting it apart, it does mean that it has multiple differences with the others. Like, for example, being kind of rough, mostly rough around the eye. Like, for example, as you can see here, this AME room being open and made of wood, barricades, and temporary inflated walls, for example. So I try to make it nice, make it a bit nicer, a bit more homely. It's an effort. It's gonna take the entire round, obviously. Thankfully, it was a green shift somehow. aka there weren't any major antagonists, so we had plenty of time to do all this. However, even though this was a green shift and we had plenty of time, Cargo declared Cargonia and did not do any deliveries or did any salvage. Which means that we're going to be salvaging our own steel for this entire project. Or stealing steel, or whatever. As you can see, we're currently we're stocking up on steel. I try and infiltrate Cargo because we ordered about 300 steel. Turns out they delivered it to Science. So yeah, that didn't go really well. Anyway, this is only a prologue to what we're actually going to be doing today, which is a project for a Vigoroid launcher. That's going to be coming up later in the next shift. So just enjoy. Oh yeah, here is when I hang out around Cargo. They delivered to Science. Science spent all the steel. So I just look around for more steel. Also, the chief engineer is making a some kind of cannon or something, using all of the tiles that I'm ripping up to throw at stuff. So yeah. Somehow a Diona person goes out into space and survives. I don't really know how or why, but it works out. And we're almost done with all of the floors in the entire station being converted, which is when I start converting walls. Using advanced tools. By welding and putting steel back into walls, we can make them into regular walls. However, I do have trouble with the reinforced walls. The best I can do is just cut them once, so they look slightly more like a regular corporate wall. Also, we get a cool cape at some point. We do some maintenance, but nothing to distract us too much. We salvage a bit more steel to make more tiles. Science is doing science stuff, so we just break in and do our own tools because... Anyway, now we start converting the walls. After that, that would have been the windows, but we didn't have enough time. And also, since we were the only person doing it, it took quite a while. And we still do some random tasks here and there to help out the station. As you can see now, in this fast forward, it does look a lot different hanging around the station now. It almost looks like a regular station. The doors are the most obvious thing still.
emergency shuttle has docked with the station.
Anyway, we made it to evacuation. Now on to the next round, where the real stuff happens.
Enjoy your stay.
So, on this round, I take it upon myself to make a Vigoroid launcher. In case you don't know, the Vigoroid is an asteroid that's hanging around the station where a metric ton of minerals are, like a lot. So using a mass scanner, I roughly got the position of the Vigoroid compared to the station, and I made a launcher. So we can launch ourselves to it and escape this station and get rich. You'll see it in a bit. Also advertise the services because why not? We can colonize the whole place. Excuse me. I was yawning. So I'm doing my pitch. Explore, fight, and have fun on the Vigoroid. Also, the Vigoroid launcher is untested. And I take no responsibility. Even though I'm the one that has assembled it and advertised it. Anyway, here's the launcher. It's 2 emitters making a field that repulses people at super speed. We have our first test subject. Somebody that was going to be cryoing anyway. So instead they're going to launch themselves into space and cryo that way. And they'll even tell us where they end up. I don't know if they want any safety. I have a fire extinguisher to get back on station. So I give them access to externals. And they launch themselves. A bit, after, some trouble. Boop. You saw that they got launched at an angle. We have our first launch! Now, seeing how fast you get launched, it shouldn't take that long to get to the Vigoroid. We ask for some information as to what happens. We don't hear anything, still not there. Which in my mind means they're now lost forever in space. And our first, my first, non-legally liable death has happened. It's non-legally liable because I said so. That's how that works. Anyway, now we need more test subjects. So I asked them if they want to test it out. But instead I changed my wording to gambling. Because since now we know that they can miss, it's not a guarantee that the Vigoroid launcher is going to get you to the Vigoroid. So instead I frame it as gambling. It's all up to luck. Anyway. So make sure to, lay it out. It's gambling because you get launched at a random angle. Vaguely at the Vigoroid. And as you can see, they get launched at quite an angle. And apparently it was aimed in the right direction. And even at that heavy angle, they just barely missed it. Make sure to tell everybody that the Vigoroid launcher is gambling, and I don't have any space rescue services or anything. So yeah, they're just on their own out there. Make sure to advertise again. Come all passengers, all you need is an emergency EVA suit to gamba on the Vigoroid launcher. Will you hit the Vigoroid or be lost in space? As we got somebody yelling for our help forever, like very. They said they didn't see any contracts, but it was verbally agreed upon. The security officer says that if they give us two, they might try the launcher, which is good for us.
Security level elevated.
Anyway, as we get back, we have a salvager who wants to try their luck. Tell them if you can get a straight angle, you can hit the Vigoroid. But they get launched on the other side, and they never took the time to properly explain how this was supposed to work. So they try once more. And we have our third launch. A salvager testing their luck. And they missed. Another non-legally liable death. Who is next? Who will hit the Vigoroid and get infinite riches? Somebody says we're 100% legally liable. Which means that if they speak it, it might become true. So make sure to tell them to stop saying that. Who wants a chance to get to the Vigoroid? The Savager tells that they've been told it was 100% safe and it would arrive in the Fortress of Cushions. You might hit a debris. Oh, you might hit the Vigoroid. You might hit the debris full of gold. You might hit heaven. Who knows? At the Vigoroid launcher at Science Docks. In West Science Mains. Just need an EVA suit. We do not provide your own EVA suits. Anyway, a bit later, we have a mime who wants to try it out. However,
Attention.
if you can go in a straight line, you will hit the Vigoroid. Also, for some reason, a security officer wants them. Want to try the launcher? The Borg comes along. This is the Vigoroid launcher. Amazing technology. And the other engineer who was hanging around brings a camera. It is the ultimate form of travel. Oh, of gambling, excuse me. And I like the Borg saying that we always throw out the IDs first, so it's not crew harm. And the salvager says they found a wreck full of gold. Doggy noises. And the passenger that we sent came back, which means that the Vigoroid launcher is now 50% safe. Even 100% safe if you count the suicide, D. And I yell out that an attempt on my life has been made. Also, we've been launched at the leftwards angle, which is new, I think, compared to all the other launchies. I've used it, and I have missed it. Anyway. Also, I missed the Vigoroid. Now, we do have a fire extinguisher and a bunch of things to throw, so it's not, all lost. We still have a bit of a chance. Anyway. As you can see, my inventory is slowly emptying out of things to throw, as I'm making splits after splits of my item stacks, one at a time. See if we can get back to the station, or at least some random debris or something, or the Vigoroid. I'm vaguely launching things. in a direction. And we make contact with the debris, which I think is the station at first because of how big it is. It is a very big debris, but thankfully it's mostly safe, so we can just loot it. Everyone has made it back. Also, in the meanwhile, the Savager made it back too, so literally everybody who used the Vigoroid launcher made it back on station safe and unharmed, except for me. Except that right now I'm thinking that we did make it back. That's what this is about. Also, there's air, and we can use this air to breathe. Unfortunately, these glass passages are too small to use. My launches have had a 100% success rate on coming back alive. Safety guarantee. Anyway, there's some kind of engineering issues back on station, but we're busy surviving out here in space. One crowbar hit on this reinforced window at a time to get to the air back there. Anyway, after looting this entire debris, we find 2 jetpacks and some gold and some syndicate contraband and some weapons and whatever. But the 2 jetpacks was really good. So we make our way back into space. And eventually, I see some debris. And this station. And a nuclear operative. And we're back on station now. Anyway, as we were making our way back, I think evacuation has been called. Or at least, or in fact it's been gone now. I'm not sure. I try to make my way back inside. The emergency shuttle is launching along with all the emergency evacuation pods. And the Vigoroid launcher TM. I don't know why I said that. But now we're back on station. We're kind of thirsty, so we could use a drink. There's air here. We're pretty badly injured. So I try to make my way back to the medical station, where I can see here that things are spaced and destroyed. And things are exploding. And there's bite noises. And there's a dragon. And we die. I tried to fake my death, but the AI mobs don't get fooled by this kind of thing. Oh well. Anyway, that's the end of the round, basically. That's gonna end in like 10 seconds or something. I think. Maybe. Kind of. At some point. Eventually? Yeah, there it is. So that was my first attempt at the Vigoroid launcher. Anyway, new shift. We're back on Exo Station, and the advantage that Exo Station has is that it has its backup emitters and field generators in boxes, which makes it even easier to assemble. And this time, we've made some kind of like a rail gun. We have some safety walls to make sure that we get launched in a specific direction. And we have portable mass scanners now, so we don't get lost in space forever. And so we can check where our launches get us. Anyway, here's the next generation of Vigoroid launching. And it's time to get launched and see where we end up. Now, there's some debris in front of this cannon. And here you can see that the safety rails are working. And we still hit some debris. Now, it's not worthless. Debris is pretty good, but it's not the Vigoroid, which is where we actually want to go. So we gotta clear this wreck. After some deconstruction, I use my RCD to make a hole, which I'm hoping will be enough for us to pass through when we use the cannon. The mass driver has been renamed. Also, the launches do deal damage to you, but not, not too much damage. Anyway, we head back for another launch. But before that, I talked to Cargoid, see if they can move the wrecks around. Because my mass driver is so distinctive, it's pretty easy to see on the ship's map and on the shuttle navigation consoles. It looks pretty good, I'm gonna say. If you can ever see it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we asked Cargo, with the help of a helper Borg, move some wrecks, and they know which wrecks I'm talking about. So it's gonna get done. Anyway, back again. Also, we made a pathway to make this publicly accessible. So, time to get launched. And we miss the Vigoroid, which is what I'm thinking of what to do for Mark III. First of all, I should have had a jetpack so I could have, changed my course. And second, I need to make a catcher, like a catcher net on the other side of the Vigoroid for this to work. However, I'll never be able to make it back on station. Because of the rail, the mass driver effect, we get launched much, much further and harder than the other version. So we won't be able to make it back, even with all of our preparations. Anyway, I'll be throwing everything I have, so, and die. So that's the end of that round, basically. Next, we're still on Exo Station. This is another shift. We've assembled the Vigoroid launcher. Excuse me, the Vigoroid mass driver. I'm first getting a handheld mass scanner, because I don't want to risk it. I'm going to do a Mark III, which is this time having a catcher net on the other end, so we can properly use the mass driver. Anyway, we have what we need. This time a jetpack and a handheld mask. Also, you can see here how visible it is on the map, the launcher. So I use it. We get launched towards the correct direction, and it's a sure hit. We're right dab in the middle. So we can just forget about the idea of using the catcher net for now, anyway. Because it's working. So now time for phase 2. We gotta get here with some mining equipment, mine the Vigoroid, get some power, get some machines, and we can be a self-sustained colony. People ask me where it is. I think. And I've always made sure to always have a beacon to mark it on the map, the station map. And also, you know, it's pretty obvious to see because it's a giant rail gun. Anyway, we'll use our jetpack to make it back. So now we have much more equipment. And I was thinking of getting the AME antimatter engine onto the Vigoroid for power. However, we're gonna encounter a roadblock. You can see here the controller, which is what we need to control the AME and fuel it too. I make sure not to launch it because it might be dangerous. But as you can see, it's super heavy, like way more heavy than it has any right to be. Like way too heavy. So it won't be launched and it won't be flied over there. The only thing we could have done is use a shuttle to carry it over. So we just give up on that and instead go towards the Vigoroid because the Vigoroid has a settlement on it. A dungeon basically for salvage to clear. And it has power on it. Anyway, we make it back here. First is to locate where the colony is, because that's where all the machines is, and that's where we need the power to be. So I just lounge around here. We also have a GPS to mark down some coordinates if we need to. We can see there's a bunch of debris here. And there's a tunnel which leads to machines. So this is where the colony is. If we can just get some power in here, we can be self-sustaining and self-expanding, since we have all the machines we need to make more machines. And I see a shuttle. However, as I try and get with the shuttle, I get bonked by a Goliath. And pretty much, like, annihilated. I'm badly injured, bleeding out. Try and get my equipment back, because it's important to not die. Make it onto the shuttle, because the shuttle has power. So if we could somehow get this shuttle-y, this visitor, to help us with the colony, it can work out. Also, I'm kind of dying, so I need some medical attention. I asked for some help. As you can see, the blood loss is getting to us. So I'll be looking for things to eat and drink. This is when I learned that you can use raw, unprocessed cloth to help with wounds. Not sure how much it helps, but I didn't know it was a thing. So, Now we have plenty of spacesuits back on station. And they do want a suit, so that could work. But they don't want it, so whatever. Try to find something to drink and eat. Now, for some reason, they want to leave this ship. We're gonna make our way into the dungeon. I don't know if the dungeon has any air or not, but for sure it's gonna be a space where they're gonna enter. Which means they don't have much time. Anyway, because I'm wounded and in an engineering suit, I'm much slowed down. And I hear the sound of a body drop to the floor and biting noises, so I'm pretty sure they just died. So, and I'm in no condition to rescue them. What I am in condition to do, though, is acquire this ship and its power for our colony of 2 people, myself included. So we break the news that we have power. Yay! Just have to drive this thing over to the colony. Anyway, now it's time to install things. It's gonna take a while, but we have everything we need. Now, they say that we should probably set this up on the station part of the asteroid because it has power. However, I just came from there and I almost died, so I'm not keen on that. Got hit by Goliath. Like one tentacle stunned me, and I was barely surviving. Only because I had the helmet I made it. If I was on my own, I would have passed out. So maybe if we both take it on, we might have a chance, but I'm not confident in that. So instead, let's go and focus on the colony. Also, we ran out of air, but that's not an issue. We can just get more inside the ship. So it's going to be a bit inconvenient because we're going to be using it faster than usual because it's not pure oxygen. But we finished the power setup and we have everything powered. Now the pitch for this colony was to escape Exo Station. But by this time, the evacuation shuttle has been called and evacuated. However, it does mean that now we're left on this asteroid full of riches. On our own. So we can make more machines, we can process our own ore, and we can make our own tools. So we have everything we need to survive. And we have a reserve of air for a time anyway. We have about 2.5 minutes before the shuttle makes it onto Central Command, which gives us time to make stock of what we've mined out. It's mostly been mined out thanks to Gibtonite, and already this is like way more than we can handle. Since we don't have any mining bags, we gotta pick up the ore manually. And even if we did have a mining bag, it would have been filled, 3 times over already. So we take it slow and steady. We could make a proto-lathe to make whatever science unlocked. Actually, I'm not sure if these machines are linked to the science server. It's probably not. But that's fine. I think we can make regular ore bags. I'm not sure. I don't know. What we can't make are pickaxes because we don't have wood. Belts and clothes because we don't have cloth. And anyway, it doesn't matter because the round is over. So we can just leave that behind and call it a success. The Vigoroid launcher was a success. We never got to have a we never had to make a Mark III with a catcher net on the other end, but that's fine. Anyway, see you next time for more. Okay, bye.